Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about budget tanks. And I know you're looking at this and you're going, wait a second, that's a 40 breeder. That's not exactly a budget tank. But hear me out on this. Normally when you see a video talking about a budget tank, they're talking about a 10-gallon tank that they bought at Petco for $10, and maybe they set the whole thing up for like 150 bucks or whatever. The problem is you're going to outgrow that tank really fast. It also severely limits your options when it comes to aquascaping and corals and fish. For not that much more money, you could buy a tank like this. This is a 40 breeder. I did buy this at Petco. I did buy it at their dollar per gallon sale, but because it doesn't actually fall under those classifications, it ended up costing me $45. But let's look at what it takes to run a 40 breeder versus a 10-gallon tank. Outside of the tank itself being $35 more, still need a power head. This one costs 20 bucks on eBay. Still need a filter. This is a $50 Fluval. And you still need a heater. And that one cost me $35. And you still need lighting. And in this case, yeah, okay, I went a little fancier with the lights. I have two of the older AI HDs and a Kessel A80. The reason, first of all, I bought them all used, so I paid a little over $300 for all three lights. More importantly, they're just better lights. And so, my opinion, if you're buying a tank, even a budget tank, spend a little bit of extra money on the lights. Now, maybe you don't want to spend $300 on lighting. If you come over here to these tanks, and yes, I know my tanks are filthy. These Ocean Revives, they run about $170 each. They work great. They just grow coral. And you see I have them over multiple tanks. All the corals do great. There's no reason not to use a light like that. The main difference is you get a little bit better spectrum with the AIs and the Kessels. It gets a little bit farther into the UV range, so you're going to get a little bit coloration, a little bit better coloration, and they're a little bit more controllable. And did I mention I bought them used, so they actually weren't that expensive. But, so you can see, I didn't spend a ton of money on this tank. Now, yes, I still had to buy the sand, that was like 10 bucks, and I still had to buy the rock, which honestly was one of the more expensive parts of this tank. I think I paid $70 for the rock. And then, of course, the corals are what they are, the fish are what they are. Of course, this tank is mostly saltwater mollies, which were all bred in one of my other tanks, so they didn't actually cost me anything. But I didn't spend a ton of money on this tank. However, the tank is big enough that I have a lot of options. I can do quite a bit with the rockscape if I want to. I can put a decent number of corals in here. I can have a wide variety of fish. I can't do that with a 10-gallon tank. So you have to look at the bigger picture when you're talking about what actually constitutes a budget tank. Yes, the 10-gallon tank was $35 cheaper, but over time it actually ends up costing you more money because in a year or two, when that tank is completely full of coral and your fish don't have any room to swim anymore, you're going to have to buy the bigger tank anyways. So why not spend the extra $35 up front, and the rest of the cost isn't that great of a difference between a 10-gallon tank and a 40-gallon tank. But you just get so much more advantages of the 40-gallon. If for no other reason, you just get more water volume, which makes the tank more stable. Maintenance on a 40-gallon is about the same as it is on a 10-gallon. The differences between the two, other than the initial price point, really aren't that big. So that's my argument as to why a 40 breeder really makes a better quote-unquote budget tank than a 10-gallon tank. The other thing I like about the 40 breeder is it's still small enough that a lot of people can find a place to put it. It's 3 feet long, it's about 18 inches front to back. It's not huge, doesn't take up a ton of real estate, doesn't need a sump, but it gives you a lot more options. So anyways, that's my argument as to why a 40 breeder makes a better, first of all, makes a better beginner tank, but also why it qualifies as a budget tank more than a 10-gallon tank does. Anyways, as always, thanks for watching.